how are you scaling up the business? What's going on there? So are you getting into newer factories? What's the scale up plan?
So right now we are setting up a large plant in Pune. It is one of the largest factories in India that will be set up with a capacity of 1 gigawatt hour. This will allow us to scale up to 1500 crores odd from this factory. In terms of application, right now we were focusing on last mile mobility, which was two-wheelers, three-wheelers, autos, etc. Now we are going into intercity. So we have designed battery packs for four-wheelers, buses, trucks, and many other applications like railways, where the batteries can be used in the metros, etc. And in the energy storage space, we are getting into telecom. We are getting into battery energy storage system, where we'll be providing containerized solutions to the solar plants in India. So this allows us to scale significantly over the next 4 to 5 years. So the target is to ensure that we realize full capacity in this plant in the next 3 years, and then expand further from there.
Interesting. As the sector is becoming more lucrative, are there entry barriers? Where do you see your company differentiating from competitors? What is the next step when competition comes in?
Competition is there, I would say. So in terms of the battery pack industry today, we have Tata Group has a battery plant in Pune, which is ongoing right now, which supplies to their company. So we have large corporates who are there. We have startups which have scaled up, and there are some family businesses which are part of the entire ecosystem today. Where we are differentiating is we are providing a solution from low voltage to high voltage. So high voltage packs would be applications for a four-wheeler, bus, trucks, etc. And low voltage would be in the space of two-wheelers and three-wheelers. So we expect that our entire gambit of applications ranging from a two-wheeler to a truck would allow us to be more flexible when it comes to electric mobility. And when it comes to energy storage system, we are going from a solar pack, which is a very low voltage pack for a street light, going all the way up to a containerized solution, which is a very high voltage system. And it's a specific system designed to feed the grid. So very few companies will have that kind of R&D bandwidth to execute this at scale. So that is where we are bringing our moat. Second is our service infrastructure has grown. This is where I think the fact that we have 7 years old now in this industry helps. So we have seen 2 cycles of warranty already, and we have seen how battery behaves in the second year, third year. So we've built our service infrastructure accordingly, and I think that will support significantly our growth and deployment of batteries in India.
So that's really fascinating, because what I'm hearing is that the government is very supportive in the sector. But to my mind, what are those challenges that you face as a sector which may not necessarily... So a lot of sectors say government policies is a challenge. In your case, that isn't. But what are those norms that are missing? What are those standards that are amiss, which you think that this industry needs as it grows?
There are 2 major challenges, I would say. One is on the consumer side, and one is on the supply side. So on the supply side, cell manufacturing is predominantly happening in China, Vietnam. We are dependent on them for the cell supply. So if that can be indigenized, and there are many factories that are coming in and setting up cell manufacturing in India, so that would solve that problem of supply chain and dependency that is outward today. Majority of the components are already indigenized. So we talk about BMS and other components are local, except cell, which we are depending on other countries to import. So that is one major bottleneck today. Second is on the consumer side is awareness. So consumers are not aware about the technology per se, where we have seen that happening with rickshaw drivers, with two-wheeler users, and now four-wheeler users as well. So as we scale, the awareness should significantly increase as how to use the technology, what should be done, what should not be done. Like you can, for example, if you take rickshaw as a use case, you will see in Delhi there are 6 people, 7 people on the rickshaw.
Correct.
And so it's overloaded. That has an impact on the battery performance. So all those issues come up where we get a feedback from the market that your battery is not working, but the battery is designed to be used in a certain manner. It's not designed for abuse. So those kind of awareness will take time. I think it's part of the industry where we all, whoever are supplying batteries, are going through it. So that awareness, I think, probably will take 3-5 years down the line. People should be okay with how a lithium-ion battery should function.
Interesting. And how important is digital connectivity and communication for your operations?
It's very important because today what is happening is lithium-ion battery is more expensive than other batteries. Financing as a concept has not really evolved around EV vehicles. So electric vehicles, banks are not completely financing batteries today.
Correct.
Banks are financing vehicles without the batteries. So they are just financing the hollow structure per se. So today in ICE vehicles, they financing is normal. Auto loans and car loans, there are products that are devised for it. And the second life value is well recognized. So today EV is not reached that point of second life where after 4 years, what is the value at which you will sell your car or sell your rickshaw, etc. Today NBFCs are doing is they are saying that we are ready to insure the batteries, providing the OEM is ready to guarantee the life of the battery. And we have been putting IoTs inside the batteries, which are live connectivity, which is a prerequisite for insurance. So the batteries have to be connected via IoT and got on a platform where they can remotely track the batteries. So NBFCs are taking the batteries on their books as assets, and they are doing an operational lease wherein they lease it out to rickshaw drivers, where rickshaw drivers are finding it difficult to pay upfront cost to buy the batteries. And through digital connectivity, they are able to track the batteries. In case the EMI is not paid, they can remotely configure the battery to not work, and they can collect the battery back. So that has helped digital connectivity in terms of deployment of batteries in a significant manner.
Okay. And how do you, so it's interesting, right? Two things that need to happen. One is, how do you ensure secure, seamless communication between teams and partners? That's one. And the second is, how do you also ensure communication with your consumers?
Yeah.
Where does the role of digital come into play? How does that work?
No, in a significant manner. Like if you take a four-wheeler, for example, today's four-wheeler is way more connected and communicates way more to the consumer than the four-wheeler that used to come 10 years ago. So most of the features of the vehicle today are app-based or function-driven or touch-based or app-driven. So the battery has to communicate regularly to the cluster and provide that information. I'll give you an example. Let's say today a vehicle comes with a sports mode or an eco mode.
Correct.
And you click on the screen that, okay, I'm going on a sports mode and I'm going to drive faster. A message goes from the cluster to the motor controller to the battery stating that it's going to draw more power, and more power is required to give boost to the vehicle. So the battery has to release current to support that, and motor controller in essence pushes that out.
Right.
And which the driver uses to boost the vehicle. So every communication is integrated with the powertrain, and that helps the vehicle behave in a certain manner.
That's a more sophisticated piece of equipment, right? Or machinery.
Yes.
What happens in a rickshaw, which is not as sophisticated as a car?
So
maybe?
you talk about an electric auto. In electric auto also there is a cluster.
Okay.
So in auto there are two things that are very important. In a car, the battery is powering the air condition, the battery is powering the load, and battery is powering the drive.
Correct.
In the auto, it's only powering the drive. There is no air condition.
Correct.
There is load to an extent, yes, whatever is there. But when you talk about the rickshaw, the cluster still has to talk to the powertrain. So we had instances where the display used to go off. The only thing they need to see is the speed at which they're driving. And second is the battery capacity that is remaining. Rickshaw segment is a way more sensitive segment than a four-wheeler segment.
Correct.
Because if the battery stops midway, the rickshaw driver goes home hungry.
Correct.
So it's a daily wage which is supporting their livelihood. With a four-wheeler, if it stops, they can afford to give it out 2 days repair. It can come back after 3 days, and the consumer can afford that
Correct.
time. But with rickshaw, we can't afford that time. So we have to provide on-ground immediate assistance for the rickshaw driver.
So how do you take feedback? And I'm a researcher by profession, so I'm always asking these questions. How do you take feedback from the rickshaw driver, and how do you kind of use that to innovate and make changes in your products?
It is something that is being learned on the road as we go about deploying more batteries. Like what the Gen 1 batteries that we deployed used to have certain form of issues. So the standard issue was nut bolt being loose. That was one issue that we faced. Second issue is that randomly the battery BMS used to cut off current and the rickshaw used to stall. So over time we found out that nut bolt being used is because of a vibration issue on the roads. So that's something we have solved by moving on to laser welding now, where the strength is very strong. So there is no nut bolt at all in our batteries now. Second is we've put diodes where current is controlled in a significant manner. So we have been evolving our design as we speak. Also, design might change its application based on where it's being used. I'll give you an example. We were the first ones to introduce smart BMS, where you can remotely via an app repair a battery. And a consumer can connect the battery to an app and see the display. When we connected the battery to the app, I'll give you a use case where the two-wheeler rider was in Darjeeling. He was on a slope. So there was more current that was drawn by the battery because there's more stress to go upward. And the battery cut off supply. So they called our toll-free number and discussed that this battery is not providing current. And we had to change the discharge current from 35 amps to 50 amps because it was drawing more current on the slope. And the user rode the vehicle. And this problem was solved in 7 to 8 minutes. Okay. Now, assuming we would have used a non-Bluetooth based BMS or a basic BMS, the rider would have come down, taken the vehicle and come down the slope. He would have sent the battery back from Siliguri to our factory. Our factory, not being on the slope, would have tested the battery and found the battery is okay. And they would have sent the battery back to him, stating that everything is fine. We have checked the battery by doing 2 cycles. And he would have again gone on the slope and again it would have gone. So digitalization and communication has helped in significant manner. And today, I think technology is way more integrated than it used to be before.
Which aspects of the business really needs a lot of tech intervention, and what kind of tech intervention are we talking about?
I think today it's service. Service remains a very critical aspect of the business where tech can solve many problems. Where if we can remotely flash our firmware or if we can remotely repair the battery pack. Even today, 95% of our problems are solved via software remotely. Only 2 to 3% of the batteries come back to the factory and 2 to 3% are repaired at site. So we are deploying more service centers where we will be repairing those battery packs in those locations rather than they coming back to the factory. But the idea is to eradicate this completely by using technology that we can completely use software to solve problems. Unless there is a hardware malfunction, we can't do anything about it.
Let's say another entrepreneur reaches out to you and says, hey, the market's large enough. I want to get into this business. What would your do big mantra be to him?
I think there is no mantra to how he will go about it. He has to find his way. It's not easy, although the industry is growing. But there are a fair number of challenges that are there today as the industry is new. So whoever is new has to figure out supply chain, tech, what is working, client requirements, building service network. So it will take some time. We are lucky that we were initially there to understand all these nuances. And I think the consumer at that time was way more forgiving with EV problems than he is today. So today, if I go wrong, it will cost us way more than the mistakes that we learned from 7 years ago, 5 years ago.
Is there a do big mantra if somebody wants to get into a new emerging sector like you did a couple of years ago?
I don't think there is. I think it's more about, in India, it's more about execution. So if you can execute well, you will be fine. So India has some very basic problems, and at the same time, we are technically evolving and jumping into newer technologies. So we are there at both places. So keeping that in mind, I think the real challenge is executing, understanding the Indian consumer, is also very important, because we think differently than how the world works. So understanding the consumer and executing it is what would be, I would say, my advice to anyone. It could be any industry.
Okay. My last question to you. If you had to do this all over again, what would you do differently?
I don't know what I would do differently, but in hindsight, yes, you can correct your errors in a different manner. But I think when you're there making that decision, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So there's no looking back. But having said that, maybe we did contract manufacturing for 2-3 years. We could have set up our factory slightly earlier. Maybe that, or it could be being aggressive on certain segments that we chose not to touch initially. But if we had executed them or built products around them at that point of time, I don't know what would have happened now. So I don't know, hindsight is always correct. So I would say we are fine, learned from our mistakes. We are happy that we made those mistakes, that we are able to correct them and bring a better product to the market today.
Fantastic. This is such an amazing conversation. Thank you for being here with us today, and an absolute fun conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.